What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the February 8th, 2021 edition of Raw Talk. As always, being hosted by Charlie Caruso and R-Truth. Before they get to the guests, they quickly recap the ending to Raw. That saw Drew McIntyre battle Randy Orton, and then Sheamus interfered, attacking Randy Orton, and then Sheamus got attacked by Drew McIntyre with the Claymore kick. So that was the chaotic ending that closed out Raw this week. They also previewed the men's WWE Elimination Chamber match that was announced at the start of the show on Raw, which will include the WWE Champion himself, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and The Miz. Now, from a talent level, that should be a great match. Unfortunately, from a booking standpoint, Hardy should not be in there. The guy almost never wins on Raw nowadays. The Miz can't win for shit. I mean, the guy lost to Damian Priest last week and then finds himself in a WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match. So, the Miz is in there, whatever. Even despite being Mr. Money in the Bank, that's even worse. So they should not be in there. Orton has gotten a million title shots. We are so done with Drew and Randy. Move on from it. AJ is cool. He deserves to be in there. And then Sheamus and Drew are obviously doing their thing. Those are only half of the field really matters. But it should be a great match nonetheless. Charlie does pick Drew McIntyre to retain, which honestly is a safe bet because it feels like any time that we have gotten an Elimination Chamber match for the championships in the last 5 years or so, but even closer to 10 years actually, the champion will always retain. The champion retaining should be a special thing, but it feels like the champion retains way more often than they should. I mean, it even happened last year. We had the SmackDown Tag Team title Elimination Chamber match. Miz and Morrison retained. The year before that, we had a WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match. Daniel Bryan retained on that night. 2018, what happened in 2018? Roman won a chamber match. Oh, Alexa Bliss retained the Raw Women's Championship. She retained that year as well. So that's 3 years in a row. 2017, Bray Wyatt actually won the WWE title that year, which was cool. 2016, I don't know if we got it that year. I don't think we got one in 2016. 2015, the New Day retained the tag team titles. I'm going off of memory here. 2014, Randy Orton retained his WWE Championship. 2012, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan both retained their world championships inside the Elimination Chamber. And in 2011, Edge retained the World Heavyweight Championship. So, I mean, again, it's completely ridiculous. That is what, 7 different champions? 1 in 2011, 2 in 2012, that's 3. We had 4 as of 2014, 5 as of 2015, 6 out of as of 2018, 7 in 2019, and then 8 in 2020 last year. I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. But we move forward here with Raw Talk, and that's not what we're here to discuss, but I thought I would bring that up. They welcome on Bianca Belair, who was also on Talking Smack a few days ago, and that's just a far better show. But she did appear in Raw Talk, as she did appear on Raw earlier in the evening in a backstage segment. Of course, not giving away who she's facing at WrestleMania, but she did have a quick interaction, I believe for the first time ever, with the Raw Women's Champion, Asuka. I don't think those two have ever interacted before. Because Bianca, Asuka wasn't in that Women's Rumble that Bianca was in last year. Bianca arrived in NXT well after Asuka left. So they never interacted. I think not well after. She actually debuted soon after Asuka left NXT in late 2017, early 2018. So she just barely missed her. And then when Bianca was on the Raw roster last year, I don't think they were ever in the same match together. So that was a cool little interaction, but despite that, I still do not want to see Bianca and Asuka at WrestleMania. Bianca and Sasha, to me, and to many people, is the money match to do at Mania. So she says the last week has been wild. She's still weighing her options, obviously. But to her, it doesn't matter who she faces. She is ready to take the title, no matter who she takes on. We hear from Damian Priest, who is now a part of the Raw roster officially, it seems, and called the Royal Rumble experience amazing. Recalled eliminating Kane and how awesome that was, and how it was like a childhood dream come true, which was really cool. And he also mentions Bad Bunny, and they mention how they're kind of cut from the same cloth. They both, I believe, have roots in Puerto Rico. I'm not sure if that's where Damian grew up, He is Puerto Rican, he mentioned, but I don't know if they grew... He said they grew up in the same town, so I don't know if he meant in Puerto Rico or in New York. Probably Puerto Rico. I think I missed that part, but they have a lot in common, which is cool. And he says that people in that locker room, they're not going to like him being in the ring, which is true. I think a lot of fans would agree with that as well. And I've kind of grown on the idea of him wrestling at WrestleMania, assuming that's where this is going. I don't know if I would drag it out that far. It seems like a better match to do at Elimination Chamber or at Fastlane, but they have the most eyes in WrestleMania, so that's probably where they're going to want to do it. But listen, the guy's a fan. He's actually shown some potential in the last couple of appearances he's had. He's training at the PC, which you could say more for him than almost any other celebrity they've brought in the last 10 years that's wrestled. So I don't hate the idea, and if it brings more publicity to WWE that they didn't have before, this company needs buzz. So honestly, we'll see where it goes. I don't hate it as much as I did a week ago, because I didn't know who the guy was. I still don't really know who he is. I don't really care for his music, but that's just me. I don't really listen to that type of music anyway. But a lot of people seem to like it, so if he brings eyes to the product, then that's great. So anyway. He's also not willing to let people push him around. Damian says that in terms of whether it be Miz or Morrison or Garza, even though he's new here, he's not willing to let people push him around. And how the Royal Rumble was always his favorite pay-per-view, so to be in there was really, really cool for him. It was a dream come true, and he's happy that all of his hard work paid off. And how he also brings up how people work really, really hard and they don't always get rewarded. That's not how life works. It should. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Some people work really, really hard and don't get rewarded for their efforts, but thankfully he was. And I thought he came across great here. And if you weren't a Damian Priest fan initially in NXT when he debuted a year or two ago, he's really grown into a great character in the last year or so. I would say since that Finn Balor match at TakeOver, In Your House last June, he's really become a great character and in his element as a babyface. I feel like whenever he shows his real personality, he's a very likable guy. So I thought he came across great here on Raw Talk. So the last person they have on is Ali, Mustafa Ali, with the rest of Retribution. And he says that he found out about being on Raw Talk just mere minutes ago on social media via a tweet, and that no one bothered to tell him. And he says that superstars have allowed themselves in this company to become puppets, calling the New Day and John Cena the biggest corporate puppets of all. Now, I'm not sure if that was designed to plant the seeds for anything with John Cena. I mean, this might be a stretch, but with all the teases that we've got for Ali and R-Truth on Raw Talk and all the appearances he's made on the show, and then again, we've got a lot of teases for R-Truth and MVP too, and that never really led anywhere. But between Ali targeting New Day and then Truth, and then John Cena, I mean, John Cena coming back for a fucking match with Retribution would be a massive waste. It'd be a great opportunity for Ali, but you don't actually think they're building to a John Cena, R-Truth, and New Day match at WrestleMania, do you? I mean, it's possible. We could very well be leading to that. That could be very well what the payoff is here. And if it gets Ali at WrestleMania, that's great, but it screams the core match versus, what was it, Big Show, Santino, Kofi, and Kane at WrestleMania 27, almost exactly 10 years ago. And that match went all of a minute because no one gave a shit. And that sounds like this would be very similar. I would hope that, if John Cena has the choice between not competing at all and then doing something like that, I would rather he just not be on the show. Honestly, that sounds like a complete waste of his time. But I should mention, T-Bar was wearing a John Huber t-shirt under his Retribution jacket. They talk about, corporate puppets, blah, blah, blah. They're wearing Retribution merchandise that I believe that you can buy in WWE shops. So it is what it is. But yeah, Dominic was wearing a Luke Harper t-shirt, Brody Lee t-shirt, which was really fucking cool. I don't know if they sell that one. I have the Exalted in Heaven one that they're releasing currently on Pro Wrestling Tees. And he had his... Did he have his last WWE? No, he didn't have his last WWE match, but he had one of his final matches, though, over WrestleMania weekend at Access in 2019. So they were not close, but they had a great match that day. So anyway, he talked about how Ali does, about how he doesn't fit into the demographic and all this other stuff, and Retribution will build their own home if WWE won't host one for them. And then Charlie was like, she asked this really confusing question, and she's like, if you're not building your own home, then blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't even know what she said. I don't remember, but she was like, what if New Day break into your home or something like that. And then he literally just goes, I have no idea what you just said. And it was so funny. And she tried to explain herself. And Charlie sucks, but I don't really blame her for that. It's probably verbiage that was given to her by whatever, someone at WWE. It was trash. And I thought that was really funny. And then they take more shots in New Day and R-Truth to close this thing out. So, listen, Retribution sucks. But Ali has been great. Ali in this role, in the whole conspiracy theory thing, has been fantastic. Again, the group itself is just terrible. The names are terrible. The appearance is terrible. It's a group going nowhere. But Ali is trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and I applaud him for that. So, if nothing else, that was entertaining. And him going off on R-Truth for being a joke was hilarious. And he also mentioned, too, I forgot to write this down in my notes, because R-Truth was joking while Ali was talking early on. And Ali's like, well, you have this guy over here, R-Truth, talking about, fighting for racial injustice, blah, blah, blah. And then you call me Mufasa. Kind of making a joke about, like, not a racist joke, but, like, R-Truth is just being stupid. But he was making a joke that his name instead of Mustafa is Mufasa. So he made a joke, or Ali didn't joke about that. He just brought it up, which I thought was great. So this was a better than usual edition of Raw Talk. Charlie wasn't really all that unbearable, probably because Ali, when he was talking, he was the only one talking the entire time. We barely heard from Charlie Caruso. Ali even closed out the show for them, which was great. But yeah, Bianca was short and sweet, straight to the point. Damian was great, I thought. And Ali was really cool to listen to, too. So Raw Talk is usually a very abysmal show. But this was a better edition than usual, so check it out right now on the WWE Network. Raw Talk for February 8th, 2021. Check out all my other Raw Talk reviews right here on the channel in the description box down below. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and help me get to 5,000 subscribers by subscribing right now and hitting that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up, including, well, really every day, and including on Friday. We have another exclusive interview coming up with Finn Balor, the current NXT champion. He's talking his upcoming TakeOver match with Pete Dunne, NXT, the main roster, the Bullet Club, and so much more. It was a really, really cool interview. I had the chance to record it earlier today, and that's going to be up in article form on Friday on Bleacher Report, and then in audio form right here on the channel on Friday. So check that out if you will. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.